Hello everybody! So today's video is a little different. I'm actually going to be doing a book review. Recently, I think I'm yelling. I can't tell. It's really echoey in here, so sorry if this sounds weird. So at the beginning of this year, one of my really good friends, Rachel, started a book club and I decided to join. I wasn't a really big reader before, but I've super enjoyed it. We have one book and then a bonus book, so you have the opportunity to read at least 2 books a month. And almost every month I've read both of them. So I just thought I would share some of my likes and dislikes of book club this year so far. This will be 6 months in, so I'll probably do another video at the end of the year to kind of review the next 6 months of books. So hopefully a few of you like this. I know not everybody is into reading, but I figured I would go for it. Since I only have one bad book, I will start with that since it's short. I hate to start with the negative first, but whatever. So the only book that I super disliked is The Driftless Area by Drury. I don't know how to say his last name, but I'll write all the books and their authors down in the description below. So if you want any like spelling information on any of this stuff, then check it out down there. I dislike this book so much. I don't think there was one thing in this book that I liked. It was super confusing to read. It did not flow. There wasn't one common theme. It was terrible. I honestly couldn't even really tell you the plotline of the book. It was very odd. Like the beginning of the book really had nothing to do with the ending of the book. I've never read a book like this. And then I felt like maybe I was just distracted while I was reading, and that it was kind of more my fault, not the book. But when we went to book club, there was not one single person who liked this book, and everyone felt the same, that it was very distracted the whole time. Like there was no common themes. You really couldn't figure out what was going on almost the whole book. It was very weird. So that's like the only book I really did not like. And then the other 2 categories I broke it up into are my favorites and then like the good books that I really enjoyed a lot. Like I don't have anything bad to say about them, but they weren't like my top. So as far as like the really good category, I enjoyed them. They weren't my absolute favorites, but they were really good books. Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I don't know, but this is what the book looks like. There are 516 pages. This was actually a pretty easy read. It's enticing. My only, I don't know, criticism, I guess, of this book is the beginning is a little difficult to figure out at first. It's just a little vague as to like where the book is headed for a while. And then I'd say maybe halfway or a little bit more than halfway through the book, things start piecing together. And my one suggestion with this book would be to take notes, specifically on the timing of things. It bounces back and forth between the future and the past. Not like time travel or anything, but just like flashbacks. So you piece together the story slowly, I guess. Hopefully that made sense. Really, really good book. If you like magic type books, then this is really great. Like a fantasy magical type of storyline. I really enjoyed this book for that reason. I'm really into that genre. So I really enjoyed this. There's action, there's love, there's mystery. I feel like there are a lot of really awesome themes to this book. So definitely on my good list. One of the next books that I'm reviewing, I don't know how to say that, is Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. I'm pretty sure everyone and their dogs have read this book or heard of this book or watched the movie. I really enjoyed this. It's not a feel-good book. You definitely don't end the book on a good note. There's not any part of this that was like really positive or inspiring, which is usually not my style. I feel like it was really good insight to a toxic relationship. I felt like it was very true to real life. The ending is not happy, and I think a lot of the times that's why people don't like this book. I liked it. I can appreciate realness for what it is, and it might not be happy or feel good, but in the sense that negative relationships exist in this world, and that's just real life, I enjoyed this book. It's like a murder mystery. I would probably categorize it under a murder mystery. So I felt like it was an easy read. I felt like it was fairly captivating. Some people said they had a really hard time getting through this book. I felt like I couldn't put it down. But anyways, so definitely a love it or hate it kind of book. So I enjoyed it. It's on my good list. 560 pages and Gone Girl. The next one I have on here is The Choice by Nicholas Sparks. Is 317 pages. So I read a lot of his books when I was younger. These were like the only books I would read. And a lot of people say a lot of Nicholas Sparks books are all super similar. Like everyone's kind of got the same story, and it's always like the same thing happening in his books. I really like this one. It had a twist that I was not expecting, and I felt like that's what made this interesting. The beginning of it is very like typical Nicholas Sparks, like exactly what you would expect out of a love story, and I kind of went into it thinking like, oh my gosh, like this is just gonna be your typical, like exactly what you would think a book named The Choice would be about when it comes to like a love story. Like, oh, she has to choose, like that's what you would expect. But I feel like it has some really amazing twists, and it gets pretty unpredictable towards the end, which I enjoyed. So I enjoyed this. If you like a romantic book, I would recommend this one for sure, but you gotta be into the romance novels. Next on my list, I don't have it in paperback. I had it on the Kindle app on my phone, is Orphan Trained by Christina Baker Kline. That one was really good. It was a short read. I read it in a day. It was actually right before book club. I read this book in like a couple hours, which was not fun. I don't recommend that, but I had to do it. So the title is pretty self-explanatory. It's a story of orphans. It was extremely insightful. I finished the book with a new sense of, well, at least I know I can take for granted for things that everyone takes for granted. It's not the kind of book where it starts and then peaks and then has a resolution type of thing. It doesn't necessarily tie in. It's not this like amazing full circle story, but it was a good read. It had a nice ending. So I felt like it was more insightful than anything, but definitely an interesting read. And I later found out that Orphan Train was based on true events. Not that it followed one specific person, but they kind of combined a bunch of stories into one book. So I felt like that made it a little bit more interesting. I think I would have liked to have known that while I was reading it instead of after the fact. But regardless, it was a good book. Now on to my absolute favorite books. There was one book, I forgot about this one, that was like in between good and bad. It wasn't necessarily a bad book. It wasn't poorly written, but it's just not one that I necessarily enjoyed. And that is, it has 457 pages. See, this one's very post-apocalyptic, sci-fi, action-y, which is decent. It was a decent book. It's just not necessarily my style. It's not my genre of things. I don't really like post-apocalyptic type stuff. I don't really know what to compare it to. It's just a different book. I hear some people say that it reminds them a little bit of Hunger Games, but I enjoyed Hunger Games. Well, at least the first book. The other books are a different story, but I really enjoyed the first book, so I don't think it's the action part of it I don't like. I think it's mostly just the sci-fi, post-apocalyptic type of idea. So it's not that I hated this book, but I would only recommend it to very specific people. So that's my review on that one. Okay, now on to my absolute favorite books, and I'm so excited to share this category with you. I'm definitely the kind of person where when I love something, I'm super passionate about it. So these books I would hands down for sure read again. So I'm first going to start out with Milk and Honey. I believe it is pronounced Rupi Kaur. I'm not positive on how to spell that. Hopefully I didn't butcher that. This is actually a book of poems, and I've never read a poem book before. This was my first, and I cannot stress enough how much I love this book. It's broken down into different categories, and I really liked that. There's like 4 different main themes in this book, and it's kind of poems about her journey with like love and loss being her abuse, and then the healing and the beauty that comes from that. I feel like so many people can relate to this. I feel like male and female can relate to this because it's from a female perspective. I feel like it's a little bit more specifically geared towards females, but I feel like anyone would enjoy this book. There are like almost 200 pages in this book, but it's, you know, poems, so it's not like every page is filled with words, so it was really fast. I can read it in one setting. I've read this book several times now, and I've loaned it out to several people, all of which love this book. I read this book, I was kind of like struggling with a few specific things, and I just could not get over these things, and it was like I would get over them and then they would kind of come back up again, and I was really struggling of just how to let go of those things and leave them in the past. And this book was really helpful. I was able to read it and write down the poems that meant most to me, and then kind of journal about why those poems connected to me and kind of what I got out of those poems. So I just really love this book. I feel like almost anyone would benefit from reading it. My next favorite book is Paper Towns by John Green. I know there's some trailers out for the movie. This is coming out in a movie, and I did not read anything. I did not hear anything from anyone beforehand, which was really cool. I was able to start this book with a fresh mind, and it ended up being nothing like I expected it to be in an amazing way. This is the only book so far where I have wanted to highlight so much stuff. Probably one of the most broad general themes of this book is everything is uglier up close. And I feel like in this world today, specifically with social media, everyone looks good from far away. Everyone has a perfect life. Everyone has perfect kids, a perfect clean home. Everyone has amazing, lovely lives. Unless you see those things up close, they seem perfect. So I love the idea of everything's uglier up closer. Not in a negative way. I don't mean it as like, oh, everything's just ugly up close. I guess a sub-theme in this is finding beauty even when things aren't perfect. And it doesn't matter what those things are, how they come across, or how ugly they seem up close, but finding it beautiful anyways, even in its imperfections, is more powerful than looking at it from afar and thinking, wow, that looks beautiful. But seeing the beauty up close, even in the ugly, is like way beyond looking at it from afar. It's so much more powerful than that. So I love this book. I would categorize it maybe under like adventure, murder, mystery, kind of a love story type of thing. There's 305 pages in this book, and I just feel like this book is extremely relatable. It was super easy to read, and I felt like more often than not when I was reading, I almost felt like I was there. Like I could have been in the room with the characters of this book. Very modern. I love his writing style. I could go on about this book. And then another book that I love is The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. Another book I've read. If you don't know about this book, you must live under a rock. The movie is phenomenal. The book is phenomenal. His writing in general, I just really enjoy. So if you read one of his books, I suggest to read the other ones. He's a really great author. And then the last book is Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. And that is by Ransom. This is a series of books. The first 2 are out right now. The first being just Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. And the second one is Hollow City, which is this book right here. The first one, I think, was lended to me, so I gave it back. I don't have it in person. And the third one is coming out by the end of this year. And these were the first books, or no, the second books for book club, and I felt like this is what made me be super passionate about reading again. These are definitely more of a fantasy book, and I could not put these books down. The first one or the second one. I was obsessed with them. It's so intriguing. I really got lost in this world, and I think that's something really awesome about books, and one of the things I love most is being able to escape, and by the time I'm putting the book back down, it's almost like coming back to reality because you get so lost in them. I really, really enjoyed these books. I can't remember how many pages were on the first book, but the second one, Hollow City, has 396 pages. And seriously, every page I could not wait to turn. One really interesting thing about these books is it has photographs in them. And when I first started reading, I just thought like, oh, that's cool, like there's some pictures. These are actually real photographs. Apparently there's a hobby, people have hobbies of finding old, odd, strange photographs. And I mean, really, some of these pictures are super weird. And they're all 100% real. I think maybe in the back it says there are very few where they go in and change something about the picture, but almost every single picture in here are real photos. He goes around to people who collect these pictures. He chooses his photos, and then his stories and his characters are inspired by these real photographs, which I think is amazing. These books really are unlike anything I've ever read before. They're very unique. His process is very unique. His writing style is just really capturing. He's very descriptive. I just really, really enjoy those books. So those are my book reviews thus far into this year. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it wasn't too boring. I hope there's a couple of people out there who might pick up some of these books. So yeah, thanks for watching. Let me know if you guys want another video like this. Like, if you really didn't like it, if no one got anything out of this video, I might not make it again. But if you did, let me know, thumbs up this video, comment, whatever, so that I know to make another one like this. So, thanks for always watching my videos. I can't say thanks enough for your support, and I'll be making more videos soon.